Liberian edition, that is current issues in Liberia. This is focused on Liberia. I want to welcome all of you. I want to welcome our guests. We're going to be discussing these current issues with our Monrovia Bureau Chief, Randolph Glee, who's going to be joining us shortly. And we have Professor Nancy Reeves from Canada and also David Karpilee from the state of New Jersey. Again, welcome to Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. All right, tonight our guest is Mr. David Karpilee from the state of New Jersey. He's the host of The Hard Truth along with his colleague, Chief Colley. David is a campaigner of social justice. He tells me his interest is in the equal distribution of the public wealth. And he's member of the defunct Never We Are movement. David, welcome to Focus on Liberia. All right, David, are you there? Welcome to Focus on Liberia. All right, we'll get back to David shortly. From Monrovia, a lecturer at the University of Liberia is our Monrovia Bureau Chief. That's the Focus on Liberia Monrovia Bureau Chief, Randolph Glee. He just joined us. Mr. Glee is getting situated. So Mr. Glee, as you get situated, or check your audio. We also have Nancy Reeves. She's a lecturer at so many universities in Canada. She's joining us from Canada, from Ontario, Canada. Nancy is a social worker and also teaches social work at many universities in Liberia for the past 10 to 12 years. Nancy, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. David, are you there? David Karpilee from the state of New Jersey, talk show host of Hard Truth. He's joining us from right here. And then we got our Monrovia Bureau Chief, Mr. Randolph Glee. Randolph, your audio is still not on. You should join when it asks you for join with computer audio. Click on that, please. All right, while we start that, Nancy from Canada, Ontario, Canada, just briefly say something about yourself.
Well, thank you so much. My name is Nancy Reeves. I'm a Liberian, as you heard. I've been in Canada for the past 18 to 19 years. I came over through the World University Services of Canada, where I've done my bachelor, master's, and personally completing my PhD in social work with emphasis on trauma and social work education and practice on the issue of trauma, specifically with the Liberian refugee situation. But I try to make it as global as I can because war as a whole has a traumatic impact on everyone, whether directly or indirectly. But I've been lecturing in a few universities and colleges in Canada, so I'm mostly a professor of social work, and have been here for the past 12 years, I say, and doing the very best I can. I'm so happy to be on your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Reeves. Now we go to Randolph Glee from Monrovia. Mr. Glee, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be on this show again after a few months since I left Atlanta, Georgia for Liberia. And it's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Randolph is focused on Liberia's Monrovia Bureau Chief. Now we go to David Karpilee from the state of New Jersey. David, welcome to Focus on Liberia. All right. We still have some issues there with David's audio, but tonight we're going to discuss current events, issues that are in the news, and other things happening in and around the country, Liberia. So we start with our Monrovia Bureau Chief. Quite recently, we heard of a container that allegedly got missing at the free port of Monrovia. That's a top issue that is being discussed in all cycles on social media. So we first want to hear from our Monrovia Bureau Chief, Mr. Randolph Glee, to give us what happened to the container, and what is the feeling? What are you hearing? What are the people saying about what is happening concerning 16 billion? Some put the figure higher that got lost at the free port of Monrovia. What's the story, Mr. Glee?
All right, thank you so much. I think the story concerning particular 16 billion is all of the, we can find it on all of the international wire and even the local news in Liberia. But according to the information that came out, according to Eugene Nangwe, he said that there is a funny investigation going on, that there was allegedly that this container got in the port November last year, and it was there, and later on this year, March 31st, the container was taken out to the central bank, according to all of the sources and information that they took out of from the document, from the port, that the container entered by 2 to 3 p.m., the central bank. And since then, the money are calling to people that the money got there, whether it is in a vault or whether the money disappeared. And this is where the investigation starts, because we have not got any clear information what is still there or this money got missing. But this have been discussed in every corner. As you may be aware, I'm lecturing social work in Liberia in AMEU and the University of Liberia. And most of the time I throw out current event in the class, major happening in the nation. And this is this social work every corner in Liberia, even the ghettos, in the market. In fact, it was just after one day, there have been so many music that have come out of this particular container. Every attire shop, every ghettos, and everywhere you went, people still talking about this money. And this money, it is difficult for the people to forget about this money. Whether it is true, it's 15 billion or 16 billion or 11 billion or 10 or 9, how many billion it is, because the cost of living in Liberia is very high. Even as today, the president got in the country and he had a welcome back Thanksgiving service as Dominion Christian Fellowship, Bishop Winger's church. And we have people waiting for him. We had the crowd. We have people from all walks of life went on the world. Whether it was political crowd or it was just the natural crowd, people were there. But in all corners, people are still discussing this particular money.
And there was a protest concerning that money.
There was a protest that you have a lot of front when it comes to the protest. You have the Economic Freedom Fighter of Liberia, EFFL. Then you have a lot of saver group. In this protest, what really touched me, the protest was very organized, that we did not see what we normally see in African protests or even Liberian protests. The guys got on the ring, the pool of rain. Right. I drove there and I went there and the guys were there. And the guys marched and they presented their petition to the ambassador, I had to call it ambassador of America at the American embassy up Mama Point. And this protest was very peaceful. It is the first time that I see people. Normally, it's a normal thing in Liberia that Liberians are not afraid of gun. They are not afraid of anything. They are afraid of rain. But this time around, they tried to get rid of that particular thing because the guys got on the ring.
All right.
And they sent the petition to the ambassador.
Thank you. If you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are discussing current issues. With me, I have our Monrovia Bureau Chief, Mr. Randolph Glee. I have David Karpilee of The Hard Truth, and Professor Nancy Reeves from Ontario, Canada. Mr. David Karpilee, are you there? All right, Nancy, let me go to you for your reaction on this continue. I know this has been talked about everywhere on social media and everywhere, and also in Liberia and across the globe. What's your take on this missing $16 billion?
Well, thank you so much. So I think Mr. Glee there, or Professor Glee, because he's veteran there in Liberia, will have a better sort of understanding of it, or a better story to tell, a narrative on the whole situation. But you know, as he said, I just looked at the emotional aspect of it. Not only that you have 16 billion, if this is true, $16 billion going missing, when you have people in Liberia who literally go to bed hungry. I mean, I'm not just saying this. I have brothers and sisters that called me from Monrovia and talked about the hardship that is going on. So this is very sentimental to people. And as I listened to the president not too long ago with respect to his speech, he talked about, or he sounded like he's really going to go after this money and find out what really happened. So that gives us, a lot of hope. And I think people should really wait and watch this investigation and see what comes out of it in terms of what actually happened. But if this is what really that happened with, individuals taking away this amount of money from a country in this dire need, I think it's just beyond corruption. It's ripping off a country of some of the financial capacities. But the social aspect of it that Randolph said, students will be very concerned, as well as social work students who are themselves advocates and things. They want to know how much this money we have done for Liberia, for an impoverished country. So something really needs to be done about it, not only to get hold of those who took this money, but that such behavior would never be repeated.
All right. David Karpilee, are you there now? We are still having trouble having our guests. Mr. Glee, why are people already in the street? Are they jumping the gun, or this story is really true? Because the president says there's an investigation is ongoing. Remember, this money reportedly got missing like around March or somewhere there. So are we really sure that this money got missing, or what is the story?
Yeah, thank you so much, man, Mr. Giles. I cannot speak clearly that whether this money got missing or the money is not missing. I cannot give that very clear. But I'm calling to the Minister of Justice and the mouthpiece of the government, the official spokesperson of the government, and Eugene Nangwe. He said, in fact, this money came in 3 different consignments. He said, we're talking about one that was printed in Lebanon. And we're also talking about the one that was printed in China and the one that was printed in Sweden. Some of the money came through Air Morocco from the Rabat International Airport. And some came through and the port. So he actually confirmed that there is issue with money. But actually, this money is missing. But what raising this particular issue to the Liberian people, I am always with my students trying to identify some of the situation in our country when it comes to drugs abuse, when it comes to people living in poverty and going to bed without food. And the country is actually tough. You have a government that just took over. They are not going a year. And you have almost like, it was almost like after 3 months, when the information, I mean, the press, and I'm going to call his name, he's one of the minister, and he's took loan from the bank for 200,000. He took a loan of 200,000. My idea, I'm not a banker. I'm a professional social worker. I know before you get a loan from a bank, you must have give some collateral to the bank. But this guy who is just, I know that we all came from the University of Liberia. In a split of the time, he was able to get 200,000 loan. What collateral did he give? If it is being a minister, that's another game. And people are just building. And some of the things that people have problem with, and like even the president spoke about it today, he was war best. He did not level his home to rebuild it. I mean, the home on 9th Street was broken from top to floor. And he's rebuilding it. Or he's president, he can get good way support from everybody, from anybody to just go. They just want to be friend of the president, they can go that. I'm just assuming. So now with the missing billion in a short time, and see the way the guys are going through homes and doing this, and people insinuating this other person got this money and gets money. So with that, people are so much curious to know where is this money.
Right.
And people are thinking that in Liberia, as long as you take situation, like after 1 or 2 times, they say, oh yeah, that's just Liberian issue. It just stay for like a week. And after that, it's gone down. But the guys are very, very serious. The guys are serious. The Liberians, even down to the group, the users that that's why Zogo.
All right.
They are complaining, and the guys are saying that they need this particular money. So this issue of this money is serious because I can see that the hardship in Liberia is clear. You can see that people are able to respond to those things that they should respond to as a family head. And now gradually losing hold of their family to hear that in less than a year, 15 billion got missing is something serious that everyone is taking very seriously. Whether university students, whether those in the elementary school, whether parents, market women, is all over. But our country, with our educational system, people want the president to take action when there have not been any investigation to bring down anybody guilty.
Thank you, Mr. Glee. And we'll come back and talk about those issues. It looks like David is on now. David, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. David is a talk show host of The Hard Truth. He's also a member of the Defund Never We Are movement. David, we started talking about the $16 million that allegedly got missing from the free port of Monrovia. So let me hear your initial reaction to that report. I know even on your show and everywhere, this has been extensively discussed.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here. And I'm more than grateful to be part of the discussion tonight. And I said, sorry that you were calling me. I was a little bit sick. My phone was on mute. But again, let me tell you, the 16 billion is not a myth. The 16 billion happened. And the 16 billion we're talking about was stolen. And we want the money back. Not just a 16 billion, just a 6-month other report done by the GSC unveiled also that there is $20 million USD unaccounted for at the LPRC. So the statement today coming from President George Weah is very disappointing, and I must admit that President Weah acting or statement or trying to insinuate that people are wrongfully, accusing him is not a just thing to do to the country. First of all, President, we are not kids. We are human beings. We are rational. President Weah was world best, African best, and he had all of the best. Okay? The first argument President Weah put forth, and his supporters put forth, that the country was unstable. So President Weah was not able to invest in the country. Okay, we could take that for a moment, but think about it a little bit. President Weah was in the country since 2005 after the election. Okay, he refused to invest anything further into the country. Meanwhile, President Weah bought or built King Lodge during the time of the civil crisis. But the whole 12 years of President Salif, where the country was stable, President George Weah did not invest a cent into the country in terms of infrastructure. Now, after President Weah became president, in less than no time, he bought a house in Isinka on the 9th Street and started rebuilding. That is not just where the red flag came. The thing in question that everybody having some problem with, President Weah is building 19-story buildings in that thing. That is no way you can convince us that out of the blue, you just decided now to start building those houses. You know, it's unacceptable. And let me say this, people are a little bit confused, even if you listen to President George Weah today. Are you there with me? Hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with the development, David, with the development is going on, you are skeptical that it might be the 16 billion or some money that is taken out of the Liberian people's coffers. Is that the insinuation?
You don't need a rocket scientist to explain that to you, my dear brother. So you have President George Weah on one hand initially telling us that he inherited a broke country. He got a broke government. President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf comes on and say, okay, you did not inherit a broke government. I left $150 million into the government coffers when I left. Then President George Weah said, no, I'm at 5. We're talking about 145 million here. We're not even talking about the $16 billion yet. We're just talking about the argument between President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and President George Weah about whether the country is broke. Okay, let's leave that argument. People are a little confused when you talk about the $16 billion. You know, they try to make this thing to look like, oh, it was the money in circulation that got missing. No. The total money in circulation that our structure, our economic structure, you know, money intended for the day-to-day transaction purpose is $16, $17 billion, which we agree to. But the money in question is the money that was initially approved, let's say $5 billion, to be printed by Mana Sirleaf to replace the old money or the racking money, which we call the legacy note. Now, what the thing was, the assumption was now we got $17 billion in circulation. Out of the $17 billion, $5 billion will be not good for day-to-day transaction. So in order to replenish that, we are going to print $5 billion to put it in the economy and get those racking money out of the market. Now, you can relate to this. In Liberia, we have people like the Yana boys. Sometimes they pass around racking. They say, tekefa. The intention was government wanted to print that money to be able to get those racking money.
Right.
And something you need to look at. The intention was not to print a whole new kind of banknote. The intention was to print the same type of banknote that was already in circulation, or a newer edition, a newer one, to replace those one that was already wearing out. Okay, but this is what President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did, and I stand to be corrected. She printed a whole new design money, different from the old money in circulation. The instruction given her was print $5 billion. Right. She printed $15 billion. That is 3 times the amount required. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Now, If that is not a red flag for you, it's a red flag for me because the government, the legislature told her $5 billion. In the wisdom of those guys, said $5 billion. In a request from the central bank, they said they needed $5 billion. Why they say that President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf went ahead and printed $50 billion? That's a red flag to me. Now, when the money came to the country,
and there is no independent, there is still not independent report about how much was printed, was it? Some said 5 first and later on 10. And the old central bank governor said that was the entire 15,000 was approved by the legislature. Or would like Mr. Glee come in later to see what the legislature see. They approve.
Let me just give you a little synopsis before I take my battery.
Okay.
When the money came to the country, where people getting confused. When the money came to the country, the intention was take the old money out, right? So what the government should or have always done, in the case of when President Charles Taylor brought in the new money that we're talking about now, that money is always deposited when the central bank get the money and they want to get it to the market. The central bank itself don't have the capacity to fuse the money into the market. What they will do is they will put the money in commercial banks. That is in volume. If we go to the commercial bank, for example, they have $2 million old notes. They will get them $2 million new note and take the old notes away. Like that, they're able to get our money through the commercial bank. They're able to get our money to the market. But this is what the guys did. $17 billion already in circulation. The guys did not go for the old money. What they did was they pumped the new money in the market at the same time the old money was on the market. Now, they were using the 2 different banknotes to transact on the market. That is complete fraudulent activities. So that is the reason why Liberians were complaining during the time of the election that, we have 3 types of banknotes on the market. If we can relate to this or the guy in Liberia that you talk to, he can prove this. So that was when they pumped the money in the economy and they bought US dollar. So right now, as we talk, you can't tell me that we have only 17 billion in the market. We have 2 times 17 billion in the market. And this is not right for the country. We have to be honest to ourselves. We got to be honest to our own conscience. So David, instead of taking the old money, they left the old money on the market, they pump the new money on the market.
Right. So David, what you are saying is actually the 17 billion did not get lost. The 17 billion is already in the market. Is that what you are saying?
I will call that a loss. You know what? I will call it a loss because it was not put in the market through the rightful channel.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So I'll call it a loss. The central bank should have followed the rightful channel by distributing that money to commercial banks. They didn't get the money to commercial banks. They rather used corporate money to put the money in the market. So it was a big criminal empire they operated to get that money to the market.
And where are you laying that blame? Is it the previous administration or the current one that allegedly put that money in the market?
I was squarely laid this at the feet of the new government. You know what? When you have a business and you have been employed as the manager of that business, especially in a troubling time when people are crying on bad managerial skill of the outgoing manager, and they ask you before you go to the office, the due diligence thing to do, the right thing to do is audit.
Right.
Audit. Know what is in there before you get into it, or else if you refuse, anything that happens, they will hold you responsible. We call on President George Weah from day one. All the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf declared as that he refused. So who you want to hold? Constitutionally, President Johnson Sirleaf cannot do nothing. He is the president. He created this mess. If he was going to institute an audit measure and come up to the public and say, hey, this is the red flag. We think this money was not, was not infused legally into the market, and somebody did something sinister. Then we'll say this man is working in the interest of the country. But look at the transfer effect. A newspaper came out and broke the story. The government came out and told all the silent investigators that same August. They came out with different contradicting press releases. Every blessing day, you have the party in power having press conferences. That tells you that they know exactly what's happening.
All right.
So they're trying to confuse the situation.
Okay. Thank you. Let me come to you, Nancy. First of all, we talk about the optics that in the midst of 16 million being lost, the president is breaking down his house and building a new one. Mr. Glee reported from Monrovia that another minister took a loan of $200,000. So the optics, whether he took it or not, but the optics from what is happening look very bad.
Well, it's not that easy to say because he broke down his home, so he stole money, or because I would also question the $200,000 bill loan to whosoever from the bank. And I totally agree with David with respect to collateral. What did he give to in terms of collateral to be given $200,000 when you have people in Monrovia, in Liberia, going to bed hungry, and you can give this amount of money to one person? But I also really agree with him when he said it was a part of the law that the access, that be some investigation around the access of government officials before they took office. If that was not done, then you want to question why it was not done, because that would have clarified a lot of these questions that are being asked. And we cannot deny the fact that corruption is so ingrained in our society. Well, so I'm just really looking forward to the investigation of what happened here before, any conclusion. As President we have spoke today, he talked about investigating this whole issue. So we just looked up to it and see. But David is making a lot of sense there. And I heard the same thing from Ellen Johnson, from former President Johnson. She said the money had been infused in the economy.
You're right.
And what David is saying, if the money was infused in the economy, then it was done the wrong way. So then why was the money infused in the economy? And the president is saying there's an investigation going on. And today he mentioned that he doesn't have the authority to print any money. So that means the government have never printed any money. So that means the money was printed before he took office. Then where in the world can the whole container of money be sitting? I'm yet to really understand that. And you're really playing with the lives of people here. A hungry man is an angry man. Right. People are hungry. People are going through a lot of issues with healthcare, with employment. I mean, you're talking about a country where about 80%, Professor Glee, you would know more about that, 80% unemployed. The last time I was in Liberia, people look really tired and hungry and drained. And when these things are happening, it just doesn't make people happy.
Right. But even about the investigation, according to, and the information coming out is still conflicting, is they've been doing investigation. How long? Okay, and it was only when we heard the newspaper report before we heard about this investigation. So that too sounds a little questionable. What do you think? Because if the money got missing, or the money was printed by the previous government, and turnover was done, now we've been doing investigation since what, March of this year or August? That's like too long for us not to have any information. So let me come to you, Randolph, about the investigation.
Yeah.
What do you know? What's the process? Let's start first with the legislature. Are we clear that how much was printed from the side of the legislature, and where is the investigation going? We heard of people that are being barred from traveling, all that. What any update on the investigation, if any?
Yeah, I think the first thing, like the issue with the whole investigation, the government did not do us well. We pay our taxes, and those employees, the information minister, and all other government officials are paid with our taxpayer money. So they owe us information. And the information dissemination arm of the government is very well. For us from other sources instead of the government, it was silent. So now that the government need to give clarity, it makes us to understand that they were not prepared. They were not even willing to let us know. Why would you tell us that investigation started since August and we did not get official information from the government about this until Front Page Africa have to let out the cat before you talk about it? And like the first discussant talk about, up to this time, we are yet to get official information from the past legislator. How much did they approve? Some are saying 9, some are saying 5. If they are saying 5 that they approve to be printed to take that particular money out of the market, if the intent was to just get rid of the mutilated money, the currency that we had before never had 500 bill, and 500 bill was printed. What was the step taken by the legislator? If the intent of this money was to take out or was just to replace what we already have in the market, there was no 500 bill in the market before. Why did you print 500 bill? Right. The guy said the 500 bill, and the legislator did not say anything. Up to now, we're listening to most of them, that even the president spoke about it, that he was not in support of what? The printing of the money during campaign time. Let's agree, we have the president and the vice president, both are members of the parliament. You guys were not in the know. I mean, you guys did not agree. So you knew that there was a money printed already in the country. You did not sign, but that did not stop the money coming. I want to do your turnover ceremony. Did you ask? Did you talk about it? Right. To say, oh, that even though I was in the parliament, but this, we talk about this money here and how this money is going. And during the turning over of Milton Weeks, when he was taken from Central Bank, what were some of those documents that he turned over? We need to read the document, because some of the document will give an idea what transaction went on during his turning over ceremony. But I can never rule out the past government. The past legislator, they were never fair to us. The past president, and even government is continuity. So now there is no way that President Weah will be squarely ruled out, because it's almost like when you're taking over a home, you're not just winning the home, but you also won the liability and everything that owned to that particular home. Exactly. So taking over as president, he's also responsible for whatever that is happening. And I like what he's doing. He's not shying away from it, but he said, let us have an investigation. And the investigation will give him idea what to do, because he cannot take decision. Now he has stepped forward. He said all those guys from Central Bank who were part of this particular transaction, they should stay in the country so that the investigation will be going on. So I believe the past government, the present government, did not do us well. Now that they have decided to step up the game, I think the best we can do, and the best that some of us who interact with the public from different sectors have started, that, hey guys, let allow the president to have his time and let the committee come up with their report. And if it will just be swept under the carpet like before, then we're going to put everyone into one basket that no one is willing to help the Liberian people.
That's right.
Use some money.
Thank you. So before we leave this topic and go another current issue, let's go around the room. And Randolph, I've already said, is what do we do from now on? I know that there are a lot of protests, there's a lot of talking. what can we do from now on? Because we see the Bring Back Our Money campaign and all that. What do we do now so that we don't, kind of miss it, so that we take the right steps to make sure that the money is recovered, retrieved, or accounted for? David, let me start with you for 1 minute.
First of all, let me say this. The first thing to do is to accept responsibility, which I think President Joshua is not accepting responsibility. Second thing we need to do is to ask President Joshua to put his boys under control, because they are completely out of order. Mobile Molu is out of order. Akaros Gray is out of order. How you call him? The city mayor, Jefferson Kochi, is out of order. McGill is out of order. Samuel McGill, I mean. All of these guys are out of order. Why all of them all over the place with all these press conferences? One meaning, the whole money business is a mess. Another meaning, somebody took the money. Look, this is government. This is people's life we're talking about. This money is real. Okay? This money is real money. We're talking about real money. So they should keep quiet and give, a chance to this process. The second thing, President George, we are claiming that they invited the FBI, all the people. My brother, we pay millions of dollars every single budget year to the National Security Agency, the National Fraud Unit at the Ministry of Finance. All these people taking pay. If they cannot detect a simple free put to central bank transaction, if they cannot establish the internal money transaction from central bank to commercial banks, if they cannot even detect whether the $25 million was legally infused into the economy, then there's no need to be paying tax dollars to them. Let's resolve that particular section, and whenever something happens, we look for the FBI. The FBI does not work for Liberia. The FBI is a foreign entity. We're talking about our national security. We're talking about our intelligence. Right. It's like we're taking the whole country and opening it out to people to come. And let me tell you, financial security is national security. Right. If we cannot deal with that, then I mean there's a huge incompetence here. All right. Okay?
So
we can't say all of the...
That's for the government. On the part of the citizen now, what do we do?
Yes. On the side of the citizen, we have to pressure the government to do the right thing. Other than that, there is a scenario that all of the higher ups know in Liberia. They say Liberia's story, that 2-week story. When something happened, 2 weeks time, we died now. And to claim that it was wrong for the citizen to get in the street that President Joshua trying to portray, I mean, he's not being fair. President Joshua, other people led a lot of different arguments in that country. The records are there. Mobile money and other people went on hunger strike. Right. We're talking about 16 billion here. So the citizens need to put more pressure to make the government get ready and be serious. But if we just talk the thing and sit back and relax, after 6 months, something will happen that will distract all of us from this thing. So now, just a delay is just a deny. Let us get to the bottom as soon as possible. So the people in possession of the money, they'll be able to retrieve this money and return it back to the Liberian people.
Okay, thank you. Nancy, what do we do going forward about this money?
Well, I totally agree that the pressure should continue. I think people should keep the pressure on the government to carry out the investigation. I totally question the coming in of the FBI because, as David is saying, that's extra amount of money you have to spend, when you have other investigative, agencies and so forth in Liberia. But the pressure should continue on this government to be as transparent as they need to be concerning this money. People in Liberia need money to survive. People have no food to eat. They go to bed hungry. $16 billion is just no joke. It should be well investigated. And those who took this money, if it was ever done, I can't conclude and say it was done, but if it's found that it was actually stolen, then, there should be penalty for that. They should not go scot-free.
No way.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Another issue that happened during the course of few weeks is the impeachment hearing of Justice Karpilee Janet. Let's go to our Monrovia Bureau Chief. Mr. Glee, what's the story? Why was Justice Janet impeached by the House of Representatives?
There were several factors that led to that process. And according to Moses, one who presented impeachment procedure, and Cabinet and Justice Janet in Chima was lawyer, and he used his influence to suppress a 92 years old or 82 years old lady to get her land. And the list is very endless when it comes to that. But the question that was raised by so many people that, hey, Cabinet Janet was part of Ellen 12 years ago. When did Moses Akaras Gray understood that Cabinet Janet had all this issue? It was after the 12 years or the few days. Because one thing I like about Liberia, if even you got in the principal street and did something, you will have people that will police you, and you will have others that will be against your doing. So for me, as a social worker, I love it. I like to look at the two sides of the coins and see the pros and the cons. So now I'm discussing those that were against impeachment procedure. Some guys say, hey, when did you know? Because according to the information, Cabinet Janet was one of those when they had the runoff. He was one of the justice in Chima who stood against things that CDC wanted to see happening. And he said, no, during the case I was filed by Liberty Party and the rest of the thing, Liberty Party, and how they call it, Unity Party, the case they filed. He was the one who had dissenting opinion from the other rest of the guys. So other people saying, oh, because he did not buy into the idea that CDC was pushing, so for this reason, he's not in favor of CDC. There's the reason why CDC going after him. But the Cabinet Janet had the same order. But other people say, hey, but let's think, this man was judge, he was associate judge in Chima, and he had all interest in different cases, like the case with Echo Bank, the case with the Lady Land. He was still in Chima at the same time influencing decision in his favor to take people land, to do people out of different, because the case, I think they had over 11 counts against Cabinet Janet. But after other people started to look at it, it's too soon for us to start. We got major things to think about in Liberia, how to improve the life of people. Tuition fees is hacking, inflation have taken over the whole place. Rest that you are paying $15 for is still $15, but because of the rate, you're paying almost like 2,000 plus Liberian dollar, almost like $3,000 for this particular rice. And we got major issue that we should be talking about instead of impeachment procedure. So people have dissenting view when it comes to this particular impeachment procedure. And like one of the discussants said, that Liberia issue lasts for 2 weeks, and that we should keep the government feet to the fire so that different things will not happen. Because after we had the Cabinet Janet issue, it was the best. In fact, it was everywhere that everybody was discussing. But the 16 billion, it is like Cabinet issue is no longer relevant now. Yeah. It's a 16 billion that people talking about. So how sure we are that another thing will not happen that will shy away from this? But the Cabinet issue, the guy has some germane points that they wanted to impeach. I mean, that they decided to impeach Cabinet Janet for. So I believe that there was dissenting order. There was not a quote-unquote agreement from the public. I don't think you're going to have that agreement from the public on that another official and other people took it out on the front. That those that most of the tribe, the Mandingos and the Muslims, they say that's their representation on the Supreme Court bench and why they want to move that. And some of us could not buy into it because we have others that they lost their job. Will they? Oh, this is our representation from the tribal part of it and look at the legal part of it, and that was what we're trying to create in different avenues. But the issue is still ongoing, and I believe that others have the same view about that. But that was a serious problem in Liberia.
So you were saying that the legislature they were kind of right, except that the timing. Or
for me, I'm not looking at whether they were right or they were wrong. What I was looking at, this guy, Moses Akara's Gray, the other thing, he spent almost 6 years. Is that 6 years? Yeah, 6 years with the tenure of Ellen. When did he discover that all of what he's talking about it now took place in the 6 months of George Weah or 4 months of George Weah that he decided to carry on the impeachment procedure? Why this was not raised during the tenure of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? Why is it right after the case that brought this? That was some of the question and some of the discussing in other area or other talk show. This was the issue. Why you didn't think about it? Because the guy, he took a stand against CDC doing their case in the Supreme Court. Is it now that you want to speak about that? And Karpilee Janneh is one person that individually as a person that I respect. Why is it I respect Karpilee Janneh? Karpilee Janneh at the time doing the thing when Chancellor was turned over, he was one of the guys who was in favor of Chancellor being turned over. But when the special court in Sierra Leone decided to say, hey, every other property that Chancellor got in Liberia must be turned over, he said, hey, you don't have jurisdiction over his property here. So he one person that will always stand up for what he believes and what he trusts. But with all that what they said, that taking people land and everything, if these are things that were justifiable, that is proving that he did, then actually he needed to leave the Supreme Court bench. Because we don't need people like that. But there was a case that was put forth, and I'm just giving you the view of others around. But I don't think there should be any special time to get rid of somebody when it is noticeable that you have gone against the ethics, the operation of that particular job. There should be no special time. That's just my take. Yeah.
David, your take?
Well, on the Supreme Court issue, again, let me say this clearly. We should not encourage any kinds of witch hunting because it will undermine our country in any way. Councillor Johnny is not one of my favorite persons because I believe that everybody that took part in the Liberian state of crisis should be held accountable for their role. And you know, Councillor Johnny was with the Liberia movement. But the procedure that led to the first impeaching him was illegal. First of all, there was an injunction placed on the process, which came from the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is the biggest court in the land. And the House of Representatives decided to not listen. You know, they went ahead and did exactly what they wanted to do because they had so much anger. You know, that was equally not right. Furthermore, just to make other things clear, let me say this. If you have issues, you know, with somebody's position, I don't think the lady in question is the only person that has been through this kind of situation, if it is true. We have an issue of 250,000 Liberians who lost their precious life. More than 200 plus million worth of property destroyed. You know, we told these people, let us more focus our energy to bringing war and economic crime to the country, to prosecute people that have created so much problem for our country than solution. Other than that, they decided to go after political interest. Look, let me say this. I can't speak other people, that's why I said earlier, they listen to me. It is about time for President George Weah to put his boys in check because they are Alabama. They are completely on the loose, and the only thing we need to do is to ask the president to call his boys and put them under control because the guys are completely out of control. They are power drunk. They are doing things or saying things that that is not of good interest to Liberian people. So my thing is, it was wrong. Let me put it squarely like that. It was wrong for Akara's Gray and the whole presidency of the lower house to go after Cabinet Janet. And that is just what I think.
Okay. So you're saying even if Cabinet Janet did it or did what he's being accused of, the issue of a war crime is more relevant. So we should let every other thing slide. Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't think every other thing is flying. Let me tell you, every time those guys go to the legislature to session, we pay them. We pay them tax dollar. So they should do what we want them to do, and they should do the right thing when it is necessary. Okay? These are people who are basically going after a man because he had a dissenting opinion on an election case at the Supreme Court. You see that? So, should we validate the argument with, inside when you go deep down to look at the debate, the lady in question's son, deceased, sold the property to Councilor Johnny. Okay, so that is a whole debate that they have to go. And we have something called the Land Commission. Now they have a Land Commission. Okay, so the Land Commission can go into that and figure out who is wrong, who is right, and how do they go about it. Not just that woman. There were a lot of cases where people had to buy land 2 times from the C family. Because one family member will sell it to you, then before you go low, while trying to develop it, another family member say, oh, I'm the original person, you got to buy it from me, or you can't bid on it. So if we want to solve this problem, let us solve the problem holistically. Not to go after somebody because you have special interest in that person. We have not even established the relationship between a Akara Square and the person he claims to be fighting for. This could be a family issue that he's trying to bring to national stage. So that is not the essence of the national legislature. The essence is to fight for national interest and not personal interest. So that is my take on it.
Nancy, what you think is the underlying issue here? Because these cases will always come up, and we're going to even talk about another case that was handled by the legislature concerning Minister Eugene Fagon and Representative Snow. So
right.
Put on your social work and tell me what are some of the underlying issues that we probably need to be dealing with.
Well, thank you so much. I've always said this. When you thrive on lawlessness, and just let it go undone, untreated, that dealt with, you are planting the seed for more in Liberia. And I said, President Weah, I know, is one person who did not participate in the war in Liberia. And he should be that person to bring justice. Now, when I talk about justice, I'm not talking about witch hunts, right? Because we don't have even the facilities to put that number of people who, harm people in Liberia in jail and care for them. Because putting someone in jail is one thing, and also honoring or respecting the human rights is another thing. But when you have people in these positions of power that participated in this hideous war that went on in this country, and you let them undone to rule and be legislature and whosoever, and then have them held accountable for the very low, minute thing that they've done, it's a little confusing to me, honestly speaking, and I just wish justice can be done. That's what I would say with this whole situation. Justice can be done because we have children coming up and watching us and seeing what we are doing. Right? And this is not a generation of society we want to grow our children up in. That's all really I can say to that.
If you're just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia, and we are discussing current issues happening in Liberia. We have our Monrovia Bureau Chief, Mr. Randolph Glee, joining us from the capital city. We have Mr. David Karpilee, talk show host of Hard Truth, who's joining us from the state of New Jersey. And we have Professor Nancy Reeves, who's joining us from Ontario, Canada. Randolph, from what we said, that leads us to the issue of the War Crimes Court. I know this has been talked about also in many quarters, that we want war crimes. Some add war and economic crimes court. The TRC recommendation was for people, a war crime court to be set up in Liberia to prosecute some of those who the responsibility in our uncivil war. Right now, I think they're Monrovia for war crimes. There have been rallies on social media concerning war crimes. What is the situation in Monrovia? Do people you talk to in the city, your students and people in the street, want war crimes court?
If you just typically do your survey for now, you will understand that almost the city want a war crime code. And I, as a professional social worker, and from the background of sociology, we want a war crime and an economic crime code. Why? The reason are just very simple. There is a simple word called deterrent. If you just set that deterrent for those who commit that crime in Liberia to go to court, if someone's father is about to cause another trouble, his son or his wife or his daughters will remind him, say, hey, you see, Mr. Glee is now facing war crime court because of what his participation in the last crisis in Liberia. So if you have any issue with anybody or with the government, I believe it will be better to take a saver than going out. But that is not the case with us in Liberia. All of the participants in the saver crisis, they are all rewarded with state power. So what that shows that, hey, let me just give you a scenario. I got two boys, and the one who well behaved, when I come home, he speaks to me, oh, Dad, how you doing? And give me situation happening in a home. And when I'm done eating or when I have gift, he's not the first person. But the guy who is causing trouble, he's the one I'm rewarding every time. When I come to work, I give him gift. And I send him to the best school. And I'm taking him to places. Indirectly or directly, I'm telling the other guy, hey, my interest is what? Violent. You're too quiet for my comfort. That's what we're doing in Liberia. Mm-hmm. Who can trace the riches of snow? Where he got the money from? How he got rich overnight? Who can trace all of the guys who have become multimillionaires in our country in short space? Mm-hmm. Nobody knows how they got their money. And they will now use this. You know the scenario of snow. When he got there to Pataconda and Barcelona night, and he told a girl that I want you to march naked in the pool, around the pool with men sitting, and I'll give you $1 in the US. And she quote unquote did it. Because you're looking at poverty and integrity. Mm-hmm. It is difficult to hold poverty and integrity, to hold together. I will want to hold my integrity, but my home, I want to eat. I have to go to places I have to go. So sometimes I want to compromise. So when we have this particular war crime code, where in this war, someone who stood up, who killed people, they should be serving as president for our nation. They should be serving in the. What would this man say? Mm-hmm. What would be his policy? In fact, what legacy we leaving for our children? What can we do? What about them? Because if I talk to my son now with me in the house and say, look, Mommy, I don't want you to participate in war. These are things. Let's read about war. What war does. But he's gonna refer me and say, well, someone told you say lower the mansion and you made him president. Someone became rebel leader and president. Someone president and you made him senator. twice.
Mm-hmm.
So what can we do? Like I always told most of the guys, because when I was vice president for the University of Liberia Student Union, most of the government officials were there as students. So I always told them it is about time for the guys to deactivate their political or campaign move and take political office move. How can we do that? The way you spoke during the campaign, you can't speak at this time. And some of the guys, like when I'm talking, before I start to teach most of my classes, I make them to understand. Mobile Molu for 12 years, the current CDC party chairman, for 12 consecutive years, this boy told Kiaste around that he wanted war crime code. He wanted war crime code. He wanted people to go to justice. Now he don't have to talk Kiaste. He now got the president. He got enough lawmakers. Why did you talk Kiaste if it was true advocacy and it was that belly driven? Now the guy is saying it is not a priority of the Liberian people now to go for war crime code. You see, that's all. So I, as individual, and those I have talked to, we need to set standards. We need to set. If you check, 15 years of my age was spent in crisis, and many other rich today, and they are boasting. Who can tell me how George Kalano got rich after being beyond Prince Johnson in Bourgeois Island? The list is endless. And they are not using it for the betterment of our country. But they are the ones who are doing things to our youth that things have gone from bad to worse. So today, if I had the authority, the economic and the war crime code will be here. And it must come. And some of us are very savor in the process that this thing must come so that we'll have that for our people.
David, does a war and economic crime code serve as a deterrent for another war?
Definitely, the war and economic crime code will serve as a deterrent. This is why I'm one of the biggest campaigners for the war and economic crime code to come to Liberia. And like he rightly stated, when you will have all these warlords, and for the records, I was trying to just think about this a couple of minutes ago. You have a man that killed president. Stay around this president. Don't you think that President George Weah is in danger? He has to think about your minute. Don't you think this man is in danger? You have a man that killed a president, still around this other president, and he's on record for saying if George Weah win the election, there will be war. Do you know when he will start it or what he will do as the day goes by? So the only option is to get these people out, take them on, and get them behind bars. Let them pay for that crime, or else you don't know what that plan will be. Now, President George Weah and President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf going toe to toe, and you know what she's capable of doing, and she's passing free, and she basically is the last line for Liberia right now. Because anybody want to do business with the government, will reference her first. She's gonna unplug the lifeline or the life support line. So Liberia should look beyond personal interest and stand up for the country. That is just the truth. I'm worried about President George Weah. To be around people who killed president before is risky. Let me tell you the truth. And this time around, let me tell you, the first time the brother killed a president, he said the gun will liberate the gun when I rule. Okay. Now the second thing is, now he came in 2011. He said, we were 3 children I was my born, or 2 became president at my time. And now democratically, he's not getting the number. Why didn't he refer to he wants to be president whatsoever way possible? Who's going to be the victim? You get our story to explain. I don't want to talk plenty, but I'm just scared for President George Weah and the war and economic crime code. Then we come back to the issue of the 16 billion again. If we had a code, if we can establish a code that would try people for financial misconduct, for financial malfeasance, if you have those kind of code to go after the $20 million that is unaccounted for at the LPRC, let me tell you, we'll put our house in order. Liberia will be a great country. We got too much money, but we do not have good managers. So when we start holding people accountable, even when they're giving you government job, when you know yourself, you say, I don't want it. All right, my brother.
You are allowed to answer. What's your take on the War and Economic Crime Court or the War Crime Court?
Well, you know what? I think when government entrusts people with the resources of the country or people, and they mismanaged it, they should be held accountable for it. Now, Liberia is a small country, right? And I don't think the situation with the war should go unnoticed or not dealt with. But I think more of another measure, and that is an alternative resolution, right? And I really like what President Weah said at the United Nations. He said he didn't agree that there will be a war crime tribunal, but he mentioned about some measure of resolution to this issue. I believe in reparation and restitution. It's done in Canada. You know, the Europeans colonized the First Nations or indigenous people in Canada, and there is some reparation being done. What message is sent is this will not happen again. I think that's what I think. Something of this nature should be put in place, and Liberians should know you never address your situation by the barrel of the gun. Never should a person rise up with the barrel of the gun. So if Prince Johnson sits there by George Weah and thinks he can flex his arm with a gun again to disturb Liberia and kill over 250,000 people, let's not let that happen, because when we put in place some reparation or restitution, that will curtail these sort of behavior. But should it just go scot-free? No, I don't think so. Something should be done.
Thank you. God, and that's something I didn't get you clear. What is that? That
something should be an alternative resolution. You know, you got something like restorative justice. Look at, we can learn from what happened in Rwanda. You know, Rwanda, we're talking about almost 1 million people were killed by the own Rwandese. And today they have some level of peace done. You know, even in South Africa, right? And other places where there was war and there was, you know, all of these heinous crimes being carried out. So letting it go undone will not be the best thing to do. But we also want peace. We want to live together as a society. We're talking about under 4 million people here, right? In as much as we don't want to say when you pick up a gun and kill people, that was right. We also don't want to say we want to disrupt this whole population again. We just need to be real careful with how we go about this. But something should be done, like an alternative resolution. And it should also send a message that never in the history of Liberia should anyone pick up arms to kill people with no plans. Because Charles Taylor, the Prince Johnson, the Ellen Johnson, all of them had no plan when they came into Liberia to wage this war. And that's why they could not put things in place. And as David said, when someone is a part of that killing mechanism, and all you have to do is to make them president or senator or whatsoever, it doesn't send a good message for children. It says we have a violent society here, and anytime you can do anything and succeed at it, because you know what, people will vote for you. Mm-hmm. So again, as I said, restitution, reparation. What's wrong with saying people who lost their parents, their homes, and so forth? The government of Liberia is going to say, sorry, yeah, but here is something. Please have some peace of mind. Something should be done. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Glee, you are in Monrovia. When the president took power, there was a lot of projects that he earmarked. And there was this looms that were being sought after. How are we doing with those projects, and how far is the loan, especially the Elton loan?
The Elton loan is like start that and I give because it was a loan coming from an individual, and there are a lot of circumstances surrounding this particular loan. Let me say this. Those of us, those like living abroad, and those of us living back home, before I address this loan issue, let me say this. It have never worked, and it won't work for us. During the tenure of Charles Taylor, the way Charles Taylor came through the revolution, and we have different sides of Charles Taylor, Liberian, all walks of life advocated for sanction against Charles Taylor. Charles Taylor living in Liberia, the sanction did not affect Charles Taylor and his family. No. If we have $4 in our central bank, it was maintained and used for the first family. And you know they are entitled to that particular privilege. Every step that this government have decided to do, it have bordered with what? State resistance from Liberia all around. In the name of what? Fighting for what? Justice and fighting for peace and this, that. There should be sanction. I saw another group in New York. In United States, the free word that people found out information, they were advocating that there should be sanction on this government. For what? For the 16 billion. Did you carry on investigation that this particular government actually took the money and divided it on each other? No, allow the investigation. And sanction would not help. Why did I bring this when you just asked me about this loan? This loan, the government started, and there have been misconceptions about this whole loan process. Even from the government herself, how they're going to raise this money and how it's going to work, they are yet to tell us how things are going to be. So as we speak, all of the project that the president talked about is yet, because the loan, the money has not been approved. But I can tell all of our advocates around the world, if you have situation in Liberia, you're going to do 4 or 5 jobs in America and you will not still solve the problem. In as much as we want to keep the government feet to the fire, we should also be willing to work with the government to make sure that they get funding for our day-to-day activity. But to the question, most of the projects that the president talked about is yet to move because there is no funding. Even there are a lot of non-profit and other entities who are reducing staff because the economic hardship is getting tougher and tougher every day. Because this is the only country that I know that the citizen, that despite their hatred and other things, will forget that there is no way that you can put a certain government that the president and his family or those he want to maintain will not live in the country. They're going to live. But they say when the 2 elephants meet, there's the grass that suffer. It is those grassroots or those living West Point, Clarendon, and Nikampo, and all of the various communities, the low suburb and low income community, those vulnerable population will be the one to suffer more. So now advocacy, we need to be balanced. We need to be balanced. Because now I left the United States to come here to work. And if I'm working with the university that I'm working with and they can pay me, I'm going to pack my bag and go back. But if we want the best for our country, we need to be balanced in our advocacy, in whatsoever we're calling for. But I can tell you, all of the projects that the president talked about and concerning this loan, the loan is almost like a dead thing we yet to understand. And the president left, he went to China again for another loan again, and there were a lot of controversy, there were a lot of issues concerning the loan, and everywhere Liberians are, especially those in the diaspora. I know you want change. I know you're not going to elect me for this. But I'm just a realist. And Mr. Giles, you know, when I appeared on your show for the first time, I think it was the second or the third show in the States, I said that I was neutral, and I remain what I am. I'm not a partisan, but I'm just a realist. I like to give the facts. I like to follow the true channel of what advocacy, and not to just and believe that what you want to see.
Mr. Karpilee, you are one of those advocates. What do you say to Randolph? David, are you there?
Am I going to bell?
Oh, me?
Yeah, David.
Hello?
Yeah.
Sorry. Let me say this to the brother that just left the line. You know, I understand that in everything people will try to shift blame. And our first point is, or our first argument to the government of Liberia is very simple. You do not need to run around for money, because running around will not give you the money. What you need to do is do the right thing. Once you do the right thing, money people will look for you. They'll want to do business with you. So let me put it this way. Nowhere you have heard Liberian advocating for sanction on the country. Let me disprove or dispel that argument first. Our argument has been what?
We have the video.
But then I have not listened to that.
Yeah, they said that.
On a larger scale, it's not a big topic that is trading the social media or the advocates community. What we have said is audit the past regime, because the 2017 election was a verdict passed in a court of public opinion that government was corrupt, and so we needed them to be audited, and we needed restitution where necessary. President George has set up a committee to investigate the Global Witness whistleblowing saga. Now, saw people in America and other people taking $35,000 United States dollars out of state cover for jobs they were legally employed to do, and they call it bonus. And after the committee investigation, part of it is a restitution. Up to today, President George has swept that particular report under the carpet. He refused to discuss it publicly. President George is on record of going. President George is on record for going and calling opposition leaders to sit and tell them that we cannot persecute corrupt people in this country because we are all related. That is self-improvement of sanction. Say, for example, we have the 16 billion saga, which is 5% of our GDP. Listen, not accounted for. We have additional $20 million GST audit report the first 6 months of President George Weah's regime, not accounted for at the LPRC. Those informations are in the media. Everybody reading the media, everybody getting to see the face of Liberia. Now, intelligently, George Weah's government is putting sanction on herself, because people who should be helping Liberia will say, hey, I cannot go into Liberia because Liberia is so corrupt, or Liberian authorities are not serious, or even friends of Liberia that want to give aid. Imagine if you were at the Senate trying to lobby for aid for Liberia, and with the $16 billion argument in the air, are they going to actually listen to you? No, you're not serious. And this is the reason why we want President George Weah to do the right thing. We don't want this president to fail. We want him to do the right thing. But if he is refusing to do the right thing, what you want us to do? Let me just bring something up. President George Weah came up and said he cut his salary by 25%. Before President George Weah took the office of president, the budget of the Ministry for State for Presidential Affairs were around $10.6 million. Today it's 22.5 million, even though the president cut his salary. So can we safely say his salary was inflated and cut by 25%? That means he's even making more than President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. We told this man, in order for other international partners to come in, declare your assets, make it public, let everybody see. It happened in Sierra Leone. It happened all around now. It's open society initiative. People want to know who they're helping. Okay? Let me tell you the practical definition of aid. Is taking money from the paychecks of poor people in rich countries and giving it to rich people in poor countries. So the world is reaching a point to say, okay, hold on. If we're taking the poor people money, if we want to give it to people, we want to give it to people that need it. If we have a president that can't even tell us how much in his bank account, okay, in case he go from 10 million, 15, 20, 30 million dollars, he can put in his account. And the worst case scenario for Liberia, which you're not knowing, is we have a celebrated president. Okay? So the bank can take the money and say, I have my money. That's the case of the hospital building. Okay, if that was David Karpilee, who has never been a celebrity, who has never gotten $1 million in his life, just getting to power, broke horses and building it, everybody said, but man, where you get the money from? But now President George, we are putting on a strong defense. So what we are saying, it's not us that are putting sanction on the government. It's the government putting sanction on herself because she's losing credibility. The latest sanction this government has just asked for on herself is attacking Ellen Johnson Sirleaf in a public warfare. You know that I know that whenever somebody is somebody that you succeed in any governmental terrain through a democratic process, especially in the African terrain, it is better to work with them because you need recommendation. You need recommendation. President Joshua needs recommendation. And those recommendations, if President Joshua will succeed, will come from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf that made him. But if he's fighting Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and now he thinks who is he going to depend on? Who is he going to depend on? All of the guys he appointed are not people that are very influential. Many of them are local based. Let's put it that way. So who they know? So this thing must be clear. Our biggest interest is war and economic crime code. We are now focusing on sanctions. Sanctions mean our people suffer. But if the government herself calls sanctions on herself, let them take responsibility for what they're doing in the country. That is the debate, and that is the argument.
Thank you. There's a comment here on Facebook, and I think it was concerning the war and economic crime code. Josh Talawoda saying, have these players in the war even repented and strongly apologized openly? Nancy, I know you want to take that.
You know, I mean, let's be real. You have these people who took over a country. I know people say, you know, people were singing the song, you know, you killed my mom, you killed my pa, I vote for you. Look at how desperate people were, right, when they're singing these songs. I mean, I was in Liberia in 1997 during the elections of Charles Taylor and whatnot. What can you do, as Professor Glee was saying, in a place like Newtown, West Point, and all these places? When the country goes down like that, these are the people that really suffer. So you go up, you come down. I don't know. I really, this gets really to the point where it's just the masses that suffer. These sort of incidents and these sort of occurrences that people need to really think about the group of people that really, really, really suffer this, and think hard and think twice. Whenever I keep on saying they pick up arms and machete or whatsoever to destroy a country, they need to really think about it. And I can go any farther from the, yes?
No, I said concerning the apology and repentance, that's a religious word.
What are they repentant for? Did you know Prince Johnson knows he killed people? I mean, I saw Prince Johnson kill about 5 persons in front of me, 2 young boys in Newtown. He can't deny that. You know, why would they repent when we are glorifying them? How do you expect them to repent? When you vote on him twice, I mean, he says anything he wants to say. I mean, I did a research with children who said, of course, Ellington gave them, you know, rubber sandals and things to fight. So how can a person come up and say, I'm sorry for what I've done, when there are people behind them that are putting them into power? But it's left with the government to stand up and say, this will never happen again. You know, and you can't, I mean, as I said before, in Canada, the only person that has apologized to indigenous people for what was done to them during the colonization 60 scope residential school is the prime minister, because he represents the government. And he came up and said, never in the history of Canada would this ever happen. And there's some reparation or restitution being given to indigenous people, the Chinese people, the Japanese people. So it's upon the government to take that measure, and not, you know, people who pick up these arms. First of all, you know, there will be a lot of stigma against them, and Professor Glee can agree with me on that. There will be a lot of stigma. Those people could be dead at night after they apologize, right? But I think it's a responsibility of the government, and I always say, George Weah's hands in this situation is even cleaner than anyone else, any other president. He should lead this process, and he will be well respected for that. So I don't expect anyone to come up and say, I'm sorry I killed someone, or I'm sorry I was a rebel leader. I don't expect that. No, okay. I don't expect that.
There's another question when we were talking about sanctions. So James M. Koyon saying they're not going to, they don't want to fund, they don't want money going to the government, it's going to people's pockets. In other words, he does not trust the government will use the money wisely, so he will prefer money not going there. In other words, sanction. What do you say concerning sanctions, Nancy?
Well, you know what, as Professor Lee said, sanction will cripple the people of Liberia. I would never advocate here for the West not to help Liberia, but I don't expect Liberia or the government of Liberia to be all around collecting money. But if even they come around and get that money, it should be used wisely. So there should be accountability. That's what I would say. I mean, the foreign aid is there. Once you get that, earmark them for specific project and make sure the money is used wisely. Now, if the money is not used wisely, of course, I totally agree with David that the government should be held accountable. And if the government is held accountable and the rest of the world hears it and is going to end up, you know, with them not having aid again, then it's up to them. But you can't come out and have these aids given to you and you don't utilize it for the development of your people. I think that's absolutely wrong.
Thank you. I know there are a lot of issues to cover, and we can't get tired talking about Liberia. Okay, but before I make that comment, let me read from Samuel Shapper. He said, he's talking to you, Professor Reeves. He said, people are already crippled due to the corrupt government. How much could their suffering get? In other words, it can get any worse.
Well, you know what? But I think advocating for the government not to have a system, it makes the suffering even worse. But as I said, there should be accountability. You know, because the money, the government is not receiving this money free. They're going to pay it back with interest. So if you use that money wisely and develop your country and develop your people, that goes to benefiting them, right? But advocating for no aid or no help to Liberia, people suffer most. And as David said, or Professor Glee said, the people that suffer more are the poor people. But should that mean we should not hold the government accountable? Absolutely no. The government should be held accountable for everything. And I keep on saying, what about the natural resources of Liberia? What's happening to that? Can Professor Glee please answer me on that? What's going on with that?
Right, we lost Professor Glee on the call, so we're waiting for him to come. But in any case, the Liberian issue is long. Somebody say it's even longer than the Dewey River. So, but
no,
we'll keep talking.
And Bennett, I mean, Sierra Leone is doing pretty well. You know, I mean, other countries that have gone through civil war are picking up their broken pieces. So what are we doing? And we sitting there talking about some billions of dollars gone missing when people are going to bed hungry. You know, we need to be really careful about that.
So David, why is our situation this different? Rwanda had war. Rwanda is one of the cleanest and is developed now. They lost even more people. There was genocide. Sierra Leone too had war. They persecuted the warlord to set up a special court. And I think the country is moving forward. Ivory Coast had war. Things are going well. What's different with Liberia, David?
What different of Liberia or about Liberia is
about Liberia? Why is our case different? Why are we not making much progress as we see in Sierra Leone, Rwanda, or the Ivory Coast?
We are not making progress because of simple reason. We are discussing love instead of fights.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So let's put love in the middle of this thing. Like back in the 90s, this lady, Sis Everly March, sang a song. That song appeared to be just a gospel music, but that was the whole story about Liberia. And there's a quotation that she says, "What make you hard to learn, but quick to forget?"
Mm-hmm.
Sis Everly March music said that. The issue is when you choose temporary love over fact, over reality, and you still want to think that some magical power will come from somewhere one day to fight for you, you got a long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
No magical power, let me make this clear, no magical power will come from heaven to intervene in Liberia's situation.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, when God gave the commandment, said, "Go ye into the world and have dominion on the earth," He didn't say to only the white folks or the Chinese folks or the Rwandans or the Kenyans. He said that to all humanity. First of all, we have a country where we are only interested in being part of a system if we are threatened by that system. Say, for instance, if something happening in the country and that thing has not reached the point to affect you, you don't care about it. You know how a lot of people die in the Ebola crisis?
Right.
That stuff started in Lofa and somewhere in Nimba or somewhere.
And David,
it was in Lofa.
David, let me read a few comments. Let me read a few comments before you continue, because we'll soon be winding down. So I want to get some of my participant in before we wind down. D. Smith saying sanction is foolish. It is not going to affect Weah, Cummings, Snow, Ure, Bromskin, etc. It will affect the poor Liberians. When something happens, all these people and their children will sit down in Ghana. They said they will sit down in Liberia, in Ghana, America, and other places. So sanction is not going to do it. James David commented, "This is a serious problem for our country. I believe there is no good politician in Liberia that can help the country, the situation. From Doe, meaning President Samuel Doe, up to now, Liberia has been living without parents. I think God needs to send Jesus Christ for us." Continue your comments, David, and let's we can.
So I was just trying to make a point. We have to take ownership of Liberia.
Okay.
We have to take ownership of Liberia and stop thinking that some miraculous force will come from somewhere to direct, or some angelic being will come and dispense justice.
Christ. Okay.
Only us. Let me tell you, first of all, we have 16 tribes in the country. All of them, the Madingo people, Gaseku, Damatikone, Alaji, Kruma, all of them came. They said, oh, the Madingo people were killed, for example. They joined there, they started killing all the tribes. We have Prince Johnson, who said they were killing the Gio people. He joined there, he started killing. We had General Liberty, maybe he living or he there, I don't know, who came and said they were killing the Bani people. He joined there, he started killing all the tribes. We have who? Thomas Zaya Nimle, I think crowd Sapo man, come and say, oh, they're killing my own people. So before you go look, all the 16 crowd had generals that were destroying other people. Okay, the war settled. Now we come out, we say, whether you are fighting for the Bani people, or you are fighting for the Kru people, or you are fighting for the Grebo people, in the event of fighting for your tribe, you kill other tribe, which was wrong. So you need to be brought to justice, like the case in Sierra Leone. How you call it, Sen Heka Norma. Sen was the Kamajon leader. He was defending the civilian population. But in the event, his boys killed other people unjustly. They brought him to justice for it. Mm-hmm. Even though he stood up for the civilian population. So what we're saying, now the case of Liberia, like you asked, once we say, oh, bring the people to justice, all of us passing the community will get our own hero. The man stood up for us. We love the man. Mm-hmm. You see how we're damaging the country? So we're putting individual over the country. Say, for instance, today, you saw students in uniform. Today is Sunday. Our kids should be studying to go to school on Monday. But they had those kids in uniform and took them to the airport to welcome a president. This is not fair. Okay, this is not fair. So we have to put the country first and believe that only us can carry that country forward.
Thank you. Thank you. We are drawing down, so I will just go around the table now and ask for your final comments. I know the issues are so many that we're not able to cover everything, but if anything that we did not discuss and you want to add some, please feel free. Let me start with you, Professor Reeves.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to, throw some light on some of these issues. Although I haven't been in Liberia for quite a while, but there's a lot of things that are on the news media that you hear, and I have my family in Liberia, and I know the hardship that is going on, because I can tell you every 2 weeks I have to send money down to Liberia to Liberia to family members. What I would say to the government is, let corruption not be the norm of the day. Something different can be done. And I, no matter what, I have trust, I have hope in President Weah. I know he can make a change, but he has to work towards doing that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. We want to say thank you to our guests. We want to say thank you to all of those joining us across the globe. Our special program tonight, which is our current issues. I want to say thank you to Professor Reeves from Ontario, Canada, Mr. David Karpilee from New Jersey, and also our Monrovia Bureau Chief, Mr. Randolph Glee, right there in Monrovia. I want to say thank you to all those who joined, make comments. We are sorry we're not able to have a call-in guest tonight, but we hope that we will keep the discussion on. Liberia is the one and only country we love, so let us do whatever it takes so that we can keep it that glorious land of liberty. Until next time, from me to you, this is Dennis Jah on behalf of Focus on Liberia. On behalf of my co-host, Mrs. Danielle Nuggles-Gouchard is out tonight. My thank also to my guest relations manager, Mrs. Stephanie Setro. Until then, from all of us, my name is Dennis, and this is Focus on Liberia, broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. We want to say good night and God bless you.